What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC Vegas 37 main and co-main event prediction, and then I'll show you guys the rest of the picks as we go on. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the main and co-main event. And for this event, I would say the main event, again, I think it's a pretty solid event. I think we'll get to see who is going to stay in that top level echelon of the light heavyweight division. I would say more so for Ryan Spann because he's the one that's coming up. He hasn't fought as good competition as Anthony Smith. You know, obviously Anthony Smith's out here fighting people like John Jones. He's fighting Glover Teixeira. He's fighting top level guys. He's coming off of that win against Jimmy Crute. He's fought Devin Clark, Alexander Rakic, Alexander Gustafsson, Rashad Evans, Volkan Ozdemir. He's fought the top, he's fought the killers at the top. Maybe not all of them were at the top when he fought them, but either way, he's definitely one of those guys that's coming in here with a good amount of fights against top level people. And then obviously for Ryan Spann, he's coming into this fight against I would say like almost top level competition. Obviously, I don't think some of his wins are the best wins, and I think he has a lot to prove here, but I think it's going to be a competitive fight. So let's go ahead and talk about the main event of the evening. So in the main event of the evening, we have Anthony Smith coming in here 35-16. He's going to be the minus 160 favorite. 74% of the people have picked him. And we have Ryan Spann coming in with 19 wins, 6 losses at the plus 140 underdog. And only 26% of people for ESPN Fantasy have picked Ryan Spann. So with that being said, you have Anthony Smith coming into this fight. He's coming off of a win over Jimmy Crute, the TKO doctor stoppage with the leg injury. You know, obviously you like to see that fight go a little bit more, maybe. I do think it was a, you know, obviously you hate to see a fight go like that. And I think Anthony Smith, though, definitely when he's aggressive and he comes into this fight with that aggression, and he doesn't sit back and he goes after and he tries to just get in the guy's face and just start landing shots, it's very dangerous. We saw that against Devin Clark. He's able to just be the aggressor. He even got the takedown against Devin Clark, and then you see him go for the submission game. You know, obviously very dangerous with the submissions. Maybe a little bit more defensive submissions, because you could argue that he's one of those guys that maybe he's a little bit too comfortable being on his back because he thinks that he can threaten with some sort of submission, like a triangle choke or something like that. And he's coming off that loss against Alexander Rakic, and against Glover Teixeira. Teixeira just dominated him on the floor. It was a really bad look for his like grappling game, especially because he's a high level BJJ. But against Glover Teixeira, he just couldn't deal with the grappling. And against Alexander Rakic, I would say, yeah, he wasn't as aggressive as he should be. When he's very aggressive, you have more fights like Alexander Gustafsson against like how he did Devin Clark. The John Jones fight, maybe he just didn't do it as much as he needed to do against John Jones, and that wasn't the most exciting fight ever. We saw the submission win over Volkan Ozdemir, and at the time, Volkan Ozdemir was like one of those dudes that like we just thought was gonna knock people out cold and stuff. So for him to pull off a win against Ozdemir, when he's very on, you know, you see him against Mauricio Shogun Rua, he finished that fight via KO. He destroyed Rashad Evans. So yeah, man, he's very dangerous. When he decides to be very dangerous, he's definitely very dangerous. But he has to get that aggression, because I think he works a lot better when he's aggressive and is able to be that technical striker. You know, he's not necessarily one of these guys who's just looking to throw like one overhand right. He's looking to piece you up, land all these different shots. For someone like Ryan Spann, I think in the last fight when Ryan Spann had against Misha Sturkinov, it seemed like he was very calm. It was looking for the right shot, and he's very fast. You know, he exploded with the right hand and he took him out, and he hurt him really bad. And he has power. He also has good wrestling. I don't know if Ryan Spann, though, will be diving in for stuff as much, just because, you know, Anthony Smith could definitely go for some sort of submission, a defensive submission with that black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think here Anthony Smith probably is going to be the better grappler, defensively speaking, most likely. I don't know if early on Smith's going to be like going in for takedowns or something like that. I think he'll probably try to keep the fight standing. And then we saw that loss against Johnny Walker for Ryan Spann, where he kind of, you know, he was kind of destroying Johnny Walker. And then next thing you know, Spann's going in for that takedown. He's going in for the double leg. And then you just have Johnny Walker slamming elbows into the side of his head, and he eventually puts him away. You know, that's just one of those things, though. I don't think it was, and we've seen Johnny Walker obviously get destroyed, so I don't think that was necessarily like any credit due like to Johnny Walker necessarily. I think he just took advantage of a horrible situation for Ryan Spann. Just got him into the worst position possible. And when you're just taking elbows like that, like what do you expect? Now, obviously, when you watch his next fight against Misa Serkinov, I was expecting Serkinov to probably dominate that fight a little bit better. But we saw Ryan Spann just be able to he looked a little bit more careful. He wasn't just running in there. And I think if Ryan Spann's able to land good jabs, if he's able to keep some stuff out there, close that distance, work in the takedowns, or at least threaten with some takedowns, that I could definitely see Ryan Spann pulling off something. And like Ryan Spann, like I said, he's very dangerous. He can definitely drop Anthony Smith with some shots. But Anthony Smith's very tough as well. And, this dude's fought a lot. So I would say for Anthony Smith, if he's backing up, probably Ryan Spann. But if he's not backing up and he's able to work some distance and he's able to kind of keep Ryan Spann on his toes, I think Anthony Smith could definitely be the good pick here. But it's really going to be early on, and you're going to be able to see whether or not he's able to do anything, because Anthony Smith needs to get going. The moment he stops, he's not using all his weapons. It's just he kind of will start shelling, I think, and Ryan Spann will either be able to get a takedown or maybe land some big shots. I can definitely see, if Anthony Smith looks like how he did against Glover, that's not going to be good, because then you're going to have Spann just on top of him, just slamming elbows into the side of his head or something like that. And maybe Anthony Smith can survive, though, right? Maybe he pulls off something like he did against Hector Lombard. But I don't think, obviously Ryan Spann is not Hector Lombard. So with that being said, I do like Anthony Smith in this one. I just think the best Anthony Smith beats the best Ryan Spann. Right, so I'm expecting Anthony Smith to be on top of his game for this one, and he really needs to get out of this. He needs to start fighting like better competition, right? And I mean that in the sense of, they kind of, after he lost to Rakic, he started fighting Devin Clark, and then he fought Jimmy Crute. Now he's fighting Ryan Spann, so he can definitely reach gatekeeper status. If he probably loses this fight, they'll give him someone else to fight that probably isn't in the top 5 or whatever. So we'll see. Ryan Spann's definitely dangerous, but I think the best Anthony Smith's able to put a lot more together. He's not going to just be looking for like one big shot. Maybe he attacks the lead leg, but you have to be careful with the takedowns. We don't know. And Smith could definitely pull off a submission here. So I'm kind of feeling like Spann maybe tries to go in for something a little bit too lazy. Maybe it's not as clean as you think it would be, and the next thing you know, Anthony Smith is able to pull off some sort of submission, whether it's like a guillotine or maybe he pulls off a triangle, or he just is able to hurt him on the feet. So I'll go Anthony Smith on this one. It's a pretty good fight. Ryan Spann's definitely game, but Anthony Smith's game as well, and I'm not ready to count out Anthony Smith completely, so I'm gonna go Anthony Smith. I'm gonna take him to defeat Ryan Spann. I'll take a win by round 2 submission. And then in the co-main event of the evening, we have Ion Cutelaba taking on Devin Clark. And for Ion Cutelaba, this guy is one of those guys where he's crazy. He's just crazy. He's trying to get people to flinch at the weigh-ins and stuff. He's kind of like a be killed. Go out there and get killed, or you go out there and just destroy your opponent. When we saw him go to that draw against Dustin Jacoby, that was more of a fight where he definitely realized probably that he's getting absolutely destroyed as soon as he just goes for everything. And if he doesn't kill the guy, then he's the one who's getting taken out. So again, in that fight, it was good to see him go those 3 rounds and see him try to pace himself a little bit better and not just, get absolutely destroyed. Now, granted, he was still, he still can throw some shots, and that's very dangerous at all times. Devin Clark's one of those guys where I feel like he could be winning this fight, right? Maybe he gets the takedown. Maybe he clips Cutelaba and then he goes in for a takedown or something. And the next thing you know, Devin Clark's completely like gassed out or something, and Cutelaba just comes back and just destroys him as soon as they get. I could see something like that. Cutelaba, I don't think he's the one that's going to be diving in for takedowns. I definitely think Devin Clark will be the one going in for takedowns and probably trying to grapple. And I would assume that's going to be a smart decision, because I think if these guys get into this wild exchange, I would lean towards Cutelaba, just because I feel like Devin Clark's very. To me, he just seems like one of these guys who could be winning the fight and then he just gets destroyed, more so than Cutelaba, because Cutelaba's, I think he can land some big shots, man. And if he doesn't gas out and he paces himself, he can land those shots anytime in the fight. Where I think if Devin Clark gasses out, shit's going to start looking really bad. But, I do expect Devin Clark to probably go in for the takedowns and try to work something there. Devin Clark's coming off, obviously, the loss against Anthony Smith, where he kind of got clipped on the feet and then he got submitted. Coming off of that win against Alonzo Menningfield, Daquan Townsend lost to Ryan Spann via submission. He lost to Jan Blachowicz via submission, standing rear naked choke. Devin Clark can definitely get him into some situations where it's it's questionable as to like why he's in those situations, right? He kind of puts him, especially in that against Jan Blachowicz, he put himself in that standing rear naked choke. It was really weird. So, and he's not knocking guys out, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. His last 6 wins are all by decision. So it does. I think if Cutelaba and him get into this wild exchange, man, I just feel like Cutelaba's gonna knock him out, just out cold. So I'm definitely gonna go with Ion Cutelaba here. Now that being said, obviously, if Cutelaba's like shot or something like that, and he gasses out, and then you have Devin Clark just take him down, and he's on the floor just gassed out for 3 rounds, I guess Devin Clark could win another decision. But I do think Cutelaba, I really liked what he saw in that draw against Dustin Jacoby, because it really showed that he's very well aware that maybe going full-on insane mode in that first round is just not going to be beneficial anymore against, higher level competition. So with that being said, I'm going to go Ion Cutelaba to defeat Devin Clark. I'll take him to win by round 1. KO, TKO. I just think he's going to be able to do it. So we'll have to see what happens. Expect him to be a little bit freaking out at the weigh-ins and all that stuff. But overall, I would say this card is pretty solid. I think we all know what we're looking forward to, man. UFC 266, Volkanovski versus Ortega. Man, I can't even imagine this was happening, right? Like, in what world did you think Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler was going to happen again? And obviously you have the featherweight fight, and you have the fight between Valentina Shevchenko and Lauren Murphy. Not really looking forward to that, because I feel like Murphy's going to get absolutely destroyed. But there's that whole main card is pretty solid. Curtis Blades taking on Rosenstrike, Jessica Andrade taking on Cynthia Calvillo, Alexander Volkanovski in the main event taking on Brian Ortega. Really looking forward to this fight. But yeah, man, we'll get through this card. Hopefully it's a good card. You have Montel Jackson on this card as well. See what he can do there. He's like, wasn't he like a minus 700 or something like that? It's crazy. But yeah, hopefully this card is great. Main event, co-main event. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Hope to be breaking down even more fights eventually. I just got to find the time to get around to everything. But thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment down below. Tell me who you're picking. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you didn't like it. Subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you guys in the next video.